Hello and welcome to the Nash Tackle Off the Hook podcast. Just to make you aware, this podcast may contain some explicit/offensive language, and if that's not your thing, you don't have to listen, but I have given you a warning. I hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
You don't know the half of it, but anyway, I'm skating on the thinnest ice known to man.
He said, and they put a poison in the tank that just instantly kills them. He went, and we've run out of it, so we cut their heads off with shovels.
Suddenly, bang! The whole boat exploded.
Take your sort of 8-inch long piranha and imagine that at 4, 5, maybe 6 feet.
I said, I've revived your dead fish. F off, he said. You haven't.
That was just humongous. It was... I couldn't believe what I was looking at.
I'm just battling this fish out, and I know it's a black man. I'm saying I'll never be a naughty boy again.
If you catch fish and you return them to the water, then you are my brother.
Steve Briggs, welcome to the podcast, mate. How are you, Steve?
I'm very well, mate. Thank you very much. Nice to see you. And nice to be here again. I like this little podcast office.
Bit of serenity, isn't it, in the craziness that is the Nash office, mate. Thank you so much for coming in. It's a beautifully warm, it's very European fishing day out there, mate. It's like 29 degrees or something.
Yeah, it's not like
hot.
England at all, is it? Yeah, very hot out there, isn't it?
Too hot. Luckily, it's controlled climate-wise in here. It's pretty cool. And we're going to run a new type of podcast, mate. Something I've not done before, but I've wanted to do for a very long time. And something that involves the Nash followers and audience that we've put a question list out to. So essentially what I've done on social media is put out a little box where people send their questions to you, over to me. I ask them to you and you give you your answer. You don't have to be quick. You can take your time with your answers. We've got I'm going to say a wide spectrum, Steve, of questions. I will name the people who've asked some of them. Some of them have asked not to be named. So there's a bit of a mix of everything across our Instagram account, across our Facebook. But essentially, it's the audience's chance to ask you some questions about carp fishing and things about you in general, actually. There's a bit of everything in here.
Okay, yeah, good stuff.
You up for it?
Yeah, I like all that. I like it.
Good stuff. I'm going to start with number one, which is from D.How93. And he says, with the cost of living now, how would you tell somebody to get started in their carp fishing journey?
Well, everyone is having a tough time at the moment with the cost of living. And you can put as much or as little into carp fishing as you want to, really. It doesn't have to cost the earth. You know, you look at baits, for instance. Baits cost a lot of money, and probably, I shouldn't be saying this, but you can buy a tin of sweet corn, you know, for £1 or something, and you can catch carp with it. I caught a carp in Germany last week, and it was a surface PB, and it was caught on a bit of floating crust. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was caught on a bit of, literally a bread roll. My friend in Germany works in he owns a bakery, he's a baker. And so we had a bag of bread rolls and a rod each. And literally on a free-lined piece of bread, I caught a 44-pound mirror. It was the biggest fish in the lake. Sort about luck. I mean, it was a fluky capture, don't get me wrong.
You got to be in it to win it, though, haven't you, Steve?
But you've got to be in it to win it. And, yeah, one rod, bit of bread and a hook, you know, a bit of line. And so you can catch good fish on very limited time and limited money. You know, you don't have to spend fortunes to go fishing. But people always seem to find money for fishing tackle. No matter how tough things are or how high fuel costs are, you'll always see people with the smart setups and the bags of boilies. You know, it's just how it is. That's how life is.
Yeah.
Life is for carp anglers. We find a way of getting that stuff what we need for fishing.
Too right, I like that. Alex Cunningham, 95. How does Steve approach a wild lake with an unknown stock?
Well, I'm probably one of the world's worst for gathering info before a trip. You know, I get asked questions on a daily basis about, I'm going to this lake, you know, what should I do? How much bait? I like the mystery of finding out things for myself. So yeah, if I'm going to a lake, I mean, a lot of it's trial and error. You know, there's no set rule to it. I wouldn't go in there all guns blazing. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't go in there and put 50 kilos of boilies out if I don't know what's there. But you can soon assess what's going on. You soon find out if you're seeing fish, you're getting bites or whatever. So I'd go in with a cautious approach. If I'm there for a week, say, the first day or two, I'd go in fairly cautious. And it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You don't need to catch them all in the first couple of days. It's better to assess what you've got in front of you and then act accordingly. And it's happened. I've fished in Poland a couple of weeks ago now, and it was very much unknown. I went in there very cautious first of all, and then realised there was loads of hungry fish in there. And the last couple of days I caught loads, and they were getting bigger. If I'd had more time, I could have caught bigger and bigger fish. But it was important. It's important to find don't go in with set plans and ideas. Gauge it as it happens, how it unfolds in front of you. There might not be many fish in the lake. If I've filled it in with bait and there's only a handful of fish in there, then I've probably ruined it before I started. So, just take a little bit of time. It doesn't hurt to even lose a day or two just sussing out what's going on, because it'll pay off in the long run. So,
if you're looking at that type of venue over a longer period of time, so you've got like a season or two, would you say that to get there, to lap it, to try and see, to build a picture, if you like, of where the fish are and how many fish are in there is important, to be on that water as much as you can and have a look?
Yeah, I was thinking of the week thing, but if you're looking at it over a longer period of time, you can never know enough about a lake. So, be there as much as possible, looking. There's no substitute for it. Even when you're fishing stuck behind a static pair of rods, just if nothing's happening, reel in for an hour and have a look around. And I find that time's never wasted, but you can never know enough. So look as much as you can, spend as much time there, and just learn the place, learn what's there, learn where they want to be, learn how they feed, where they feed, what times are in certain areas. There's always patterns to fish, no matter whether they're wild, they're commercial fish, or they've always got patterns. So just learn them, learn what you can.
Nice. D.A_N_, Dan, as it comes across, but there's a few underscores and bits in there. Out of all the sought after fish that you've caught, what has been your favourite capture?
Oh, that's easiest question ever. It's the black mirror, because it's head and shoulders over everything I've ever caught. I've been lucky enough to fish some lovely places, and I've caught some lovely carp, but that one is like Premier League, top of the Premier League for me. It's it was the time. It was because of where it was, the situation, the angling situation, and just the time and effort that I had to put in for that fish over 5 years. It ruled my life for virtually 5 years, and I don't think I could ever repeat it, and I don't think I could ever find a fish that would give me that same sort of motivation. Easy question. Black mirror, absolutely, all day long.
It was nearly 12 years ago now, Steve, wasn't it?
Virtually to the day, a couple of days' time, it'll be 12 years ago, and it still fills me thoughts.
Yeah.
Many days, and I still wander around the lake I was there a couple of weeks ago, just to have a look and reminisce and stand in the spot where I caught it from and relive those memories. It was that special. Don't do it for any other fish.
Just that one.
But I still find myself doing it for that.
That's saying something, because you've caught a few, mate, haven't you, in your time?
Well, I suppose so, yeah. But
you definitely have, mate. If I had 1/10 of what you'd caught, mate, I'd be very happy at the end of things. Charlie Hal _ fishing memories. Advice on the technicalities, i.e. licenses, for beginners hoping to fish public places in Europe.
Well, Europe's a big place, and every country is different. Everyone starts with France. When they're going abroad, everyone starts with France. And it's very simple. Literally yesterday, I renewed my French national fishing licence. And that was €100. So it's £85. I saw it on my bank statement today. It's £85. And that is for a year fishing virtually all of France. That's a national permit. So you can fish all of the public waters for a whole year for £85. Now, there will be different rules and regulations within those waters. Some allow night fishing, some don't. You know, different areas have different rules. So you have to find that as you go. But basic license, £85 gives you all of France, which is...
That's a lot of water,
That's
isn't it?
thousands of rivers, canals, lakes.
And to find out the technicalities of the ins and outs of where you might end up, how would you go about that information? If you rock up to a lake, let's say you've done a big drive, you've gone to the south of France and you're on a lake and it's a public lake, you're covered with your licence, but the night fishing and all those ins and outs, how would you go about that?
Well, it's all on the web. You know, there's so much info, you know. There's definite groups on Facebook or whatever, public water groups, and just join one of those and ask about a lake. If you've seen a lake or heard about a lake, just go in there and ask the question, you know, is there night fishing areas? Is night fishing allowed? There's always someone will know that lake. You know, it's just the way it is. There's so many people been to so many different waters now that there's always going to be someone who knows. The info's out there. You know, you just got to look for it, and it's there, you know. I mean, you mentioned Europe, so, you know, that covers a lot of different countries. Spain is a similar sort of thing to France, you know, great big waters, and, you know, you only need a national licence. But when you come to somewhere like Belgium or Germany, there's very little access. I get asked a lot about Germany because they see these lovely big carp, and they are lovely. But the access to fishing, the waters out there's not many public waters. Most of them are club.
Yeah.
Not so much syndicates. Like, there's not many day tickets or syndicates like we have in England. Most of them are club waters that have been that way for 100 years. So your way in there is to know people in those countries and get taken as a guest, you know. Which isn't easy, and it's not been easy for me. You know, I've had to build that up over many years. But most European countries, that's how it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it depends where you want to go. You know, there's a lot of beautiful waters out there in a lot of different countries, but the rules vary a lot. So, you know, you have to be a bit specific on which country. But
get on the web, get your info.
Yeah.
And you'll be sorted.
Probably start in France. That's the one with the big variety to go at.
Yeah. Nice. Good luck when you're out there. Tim.Stubbs, best fishing memory with Joan?
Yeah, good question, that. I like that. Because, you know, the fish for me was the black mirror, but that was very much a singular pursuit. Whereas, of course, most of the time I'm out fishing with Joan. And the memorable trips are Cassian, the winter trips in particular to Cassian. And the reason for that is, I mean, we loved the summer trips to Cassian, but the winter trips, both of our birthdays are in December. So we used to get down there for December, and Jones was on the 4th, mine on the 8th, and then, of course, Christmas and everything. Yeah. So it used to be a very special period. So we used to get down there, start of December, and yeah, just have all these lovely times. It was a very quiet time on Cassian as well.
Yeah.
Because it would be very busy sort of September, October. December, it was very quiet. And, you know, so it's special for a lot of reasons, but, you know, just, 18 Christmas days we spent on Cassian.
Is that what you've done? 18 Christmas days?
Yeah.
She cooks up a storm as well, Joan, on Christmas Day.
Christmas dinner and all that, yeah.
On the bank.
Yeah, she still does it now. We was at Ictus last Christmas, and that was lovely as well. Big Christmas dinner.
Christmas carp? How many Christmas Cassian carp have you had? Have you had any?
Yeah, plenty. I had 6 one Christmas day.
Jeez.
Up to 50-something.
Hold off on the presents, Joan. I'm sorted out.
Yeah, that was a mad day, that was. Yeah. But yeah, quite a few. Chris, funny enough, it always used to be kind to us. Like, you know, we'd have blank days, blank weeks. Sometimes 3 weeks was the longest, but Christmas Day was very good to us. Our birthdays were, you know, it was almost.
It knew.
You know, there was, yeah.
It knew, didn't it?
Yeah.
Mega. Matthew Bart, Matthew Bart 001. Out of all the years fishing you've done, what's the most memorable moment? We will take out the Black Mirror one because you've already talked about a capture, so not a capture. Any specific memorable moment?
Yeah, we've done the Black Mirror, so
You can't be having that again.
There's so many brilliant moments. I mean, we've just done the Cassian thing, but if me and Joan could click our fingers and be at one place, it would be Cassian's. You know, so yeah, I remember, you know, those early days of Cassian. It just blew me away going there. So, you know, when I think of if I could click my fingers and go back, it would be to those, like an early trip to Cassian, because it was so sort of magical and a whole new era in carp fishing, especially for me. But, you know, so those sort of, that period of early trips abroad, but, you know, for me, they were all to Cassian.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were.
They were the days.
Very, very special. Yeah, very special.
Nice. If you had to fish, this is from Bibby Bound TV. If you had to fish one lake for the rest of your life, what would that be?
There's a common theme running here, isn't there?
There is.
Yeah, it would be Cassian. You know, the first time I fished there was in 1986. So 30 whatever,
5 years ago.
Yeah, it is 36, 35,
I was
36.
born in 85.
Yeah.
Steve, so yeah, that's 1 year younger than me, mate.
Make me feel old now.
No.
But it's the only lake, you know, all lakes have their period where I fish them and then move on. You know, Rainbow, people say, why don't you fish Rainbow? Well, I did my time there and I've sort of moved on and I don't miss it. Cassian, I could go back there every week of my life and never get bored of it. I never wanted to leave there. So yeah, for sure, if I could fish one lake, I'd be happy enough to fish that for the rest of my life. Cassian.
Nice.
Yeah.
Carp underscore Corby, fish or fruity baits?
Well, I use both, but fish, basically. Yeah, I like the fish type baits, and me fishing is basically revolves around two baits. It's either scopex squid or it's citrus. You know, citrus when it gets very cold in the winter, even though it's an all year round bait. But for more than 3/4 of the year, scopex squid. So yeah, fishy.
How long have you used that bait for, scopex squid, Steve?
Quite a long time. I mean, it's had a resurgence, but even when it was discontinued, we were still using it, you know, getting it made. Oh, years and years. I mean, years ago I used it, a long, long time ago.
Yeah, some testament, isn't it, to be fair, mate? You've used it a lot and for a lot of time and it's caught fish,
it's as good now as it ever was as well.
Tom.simcox.77. What species would you fish for if you couldn't fish for carp, and why?
Well, hi, Tom. We all know Tom.
Tom's a legend. Yeah,
he's a legend. Tom. Good guy. Most probably barbel. I like barbel, and I was thinking about them yesterday. I haven't fished for them for a few years now, but I got quite involved a few years ago, and really enjoyed fishing for barbel. It's almost like carp fishing condensed. You know, you travel lighter, the gear's a bit lighter, the sessions are shorter. But the excitement's there, you know, the buzz of catching a barbel, getting that immense bite that you get off them and the fight and everything. Yeah, if carp fishing had to stop tomorrow, yeah, I'd go straight June the 16th tomorrow. I'd go straight up the river, get the barbel rods out.
Beware the barbel. No, they'll keep carp fishing going. They have to. Louis underscore J22222, loads of twos. Best way to approach a new day ticket water?
Okay, yeah. I mean, well, go in with stuff you know. I mean, I still fish quite a few day ticket waters in the winter at different times. Go in with something that you know. Don't sort of look at what other people are doing and try and copy them. Scopex squid. I'd go straight in there with scopex squid. Fish. I'd fish bottom baits to start with. You know, everyone thinks they've got to, you know, do something ultra attractive, like a big pop-up, highly flavoured and all that. I'd go straight in with scopic squid and just bottom baits, maybe a snowman, and see what happens from there. If I'm not catching, then maybe sling a pop-up at them or something. Do you know what I mean? Keep your options open, but don't try and do anything other than what you know.
Yeah.
You know, like I put great store in fishing to my strengths. So that's what I'll do. I'll go in there with what I know rather than looking at what other people have done and try and copy them. It rarely works.
I like that. Good answer. CamWig04. Does he use a baiting pole?
Yes, and I use anything that's legal that gives me the best option on that day. And that includes a baiting pole. It could include a bait boat. It could include a big rowing boat. On the big waters where, like Cassian, you'd be daft not to fish there without a boat. And people say, oh, but you're using a boat. That's the way. Even bigger lake, I was swimming the baits out because on the day it was the best way of getting precise placement exactly where I needed to. Last year I was fishing Kingsmead K1.
Yeah.
And you can use baiting poles on there. And that was the best way of presenting the bait. And I caught great fish doing it. So absolutely use them. Use the best method that you can use on the day.
I like that. Good. Alex_Westwood_120. Is there a place for stretchy line in today's fishing? I'm 19 and I use Maxima religiously, but it's frowned upon.
No, absolutely there is. Yeah, I mean, I still use mono and I still use braid, and horses for courses. I like fishing with mono, and why not? It's there's plenty of places that don't allow braid for a start.
Yeah.
And, I would say it's probably 50-50 with me. 50% of my fishing's with mono, 50% with braid. And, there's no right or wrong way. It's just some suit different situations better.
Any place you wouldn't use a stretchy mono? I think he's referencing the fact that a lot of monos nowadays might be low stretch so you can feel a drop better, and he's using quite stretchy mono. Any places... If you're fishing real tight up against a snag at range, you probably wouldn't want a stretchy mono, would you?
Yeah, I mean, they're the obvious times. Kingsmead Island Lake, which I've done a lot of fishing on, the snags swims there. You've got to use braid. Yeah. It's actually a sign up there, you must use braid, which is fair enough. But open water fishing, I use mono a lot.
Nice. Tadjed.Drobek. Did you fish in Slovenia?
Yes, I've fished in Slovenia only a couple of times, but I've fished a few different lakes. I fished a wild lake called Vorgesrek, which is quite a well-known name. We then went on to a bigger lake called Smartinsko, where I caught Slovenian 50.
Nice.
One on the list. Yeah, got that one in. But then I went back and fished Lake Bled and a smaller sort of farm lake, I suppose it was, but I caught some fish from there as well. So
how'd you get on at Bled? How'd you go?
Caught plenty of fish. No monsters, but good ones. 48, 47, a few decent 40s. Yeah. I made it tough for myself, really. You can only day fish. So I was in the swim at 5 o'clock every morning from hotel, so walking, barrel in the gear, and you can fish to 11. So I didn't get much sleep, which for me is a killer. And I didn't need to do it because all of the action came from 9:30 in the evening onwards. So it was all last. So I didn't need to be up early, but I did it anyway. Caught plenty. Caught every day or every night, as it turned out.
That's a result, isn't it?
Yeah, I loved it there. Slovenia's lovely, lovely country.
Alfie, they've just come back. Alfie and Henry, I think their video is out now. You can watch it on Australia. They had a good trip.
Fantastic blog. Yeah, watch that if you're, interested in Slovenia. That was brilliant.
Caught a few, didn't they?
Yeah.
Flavids, great name. Hi, why have so few articles from Nash in the Netherlands? Got a bit out Netherlands way. You've done a bit out Netherlands way a fair few times.
Yeah, over the years. I suppose, I mean, in more recent times, it's been sort of Carp Lantis. I fished one of the other lakes, Carp Heaven? Is it Carp Heaven? And then Carp Lantis, because I go back quite a long way with the owner, Coos, from his days in France. But years ago, it was actually the second country I fished after France. I fished on the Grand Old 20 Canal, which caught me first £20 common there, which all those years, which was 1988 or something. Yeah. So years ago. But I haven't done much in Holland.
It's definitely, I think Al's been out there. Definitely Alan and Ol have been out there. But there's also a load of media around just Nash throughout the whole of Europe anyway, isn't there, mate? So, if you're in Holland, you're not too far from anywhere either, are you?
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolute top spot. Matthew _60.82326. Good name. Good morning. What is Steve's favourite big carp rig?
Yeah, simple is the way forward for me. But at the moment, I'm definitely favouring like the Slip D. I do love a Slip D rig, and that was Alan that got me into Alan Blair. Because he was banging on about the Slip D for ages, and I'm a bit stubborn, And I was in what I was using was a Fang Uni on a very simple coated braid, and
I remember that you put it in your blogs, didn't you?
Yeah,
I remember you showing. Yeah.
And it was such a simple, straightforward rig, but a good one. And then we discontinued the Fang Unis, so I was sort of scratching around, and I thought, I'll give it a go, the old Slip D, and it's turned out to be a really good rig for me, so I love it. So, that's me go-to rig.
I like that. Arthur Kelly 1. If Nash didn't exist, which brand would you work for and why?
Oof. Well, that's unthinkable. I've had associations with different brands going back years now. Rod Hutchinson. He was when I first became a consultant as such. It was for Rod Hutchinson. So they were sort of special days. He was a special guy in the history of carp fishing. There's some great companies. I've actually got a good association, a good relationship, I should say, with a lot of the companies out there. There's not this big sort of
divide, is there?
No, there's not. I've got friends. I was fishing with my mate in Germany. He's a Fox consultant. I spent a week with him. Didn't come into it that side of it. We're just so. I don't know. I wonder what they'd pay me.
You'd go, mate. You'd create your own brand there, wouldn't you? The old Steve Briggs brand, mate.
Actually, well, we did that years ago with Venture. We did that. So I dabbled in that. But what I would say, it's not about the money, because I have kindly been offered lots of money, and it's not about that. Nash look after everyone so well. That's what I would say. Of all the companies that I do know, and I know quite a lot about the ins and outs of them, Nash is such a family, and they look after you. That's why we don't leave Nash. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Long may it last.
Interesting question, this one, mate. Okay, I'm going to ask it. Charlie Green at 66.
Charlie Green, that's familiar.
Yeah, he might be on a wind-up, but it's in the list of questions, so I've got to ask it, haven't I? Has Steve Briggs ever, I'm going to say pooed himself, to change that word, or done a wet fart on the bank? He's paused for a very long time there, Steve.
Well, not that I know of, but it's something that's going to come in. I'm getting older now, so it's something that's going to happen more and more, isn't it?
Oh, not in that way. No, you're right, mate.
Nash don't do nappies yet, but perhaps that's something.
It could be coming. Biggest regret in carp fishing?
I haven't got many. There's no waters that I haven't fished that I wanted to, if you know what I mean. Probably the one thing that always niggles me was years ago at Foxpool. I fished Foxpool in the original days before the fish were taken and actually put into Horton, which started Horton off. I fished there for 2 years and never caught one. I lost 2. And really, I should have caught one, if you know what I mean. When I look back, it was one of my failures in carp fishing. It's not a bad thing to have failures, we all have them. But probably not catching one out of Foxpool in those days was the biggest regret I have, really. But otherwise, I've done everything. I was at Cassian in the early days, which, thank God for that. I fished the Mere for the Black Mirror in time before it all went wrong there. Foxpool, not catching one. That's the one thing I'd put right if I could.
The single best piece of angling that you've ever seen?
I've seen a lot of good angling in my time. Yeah, so it's impossible. There's people that have impressed me so much. I mean, there's some high-profile anglers that didn't live up to expectations. When I saw them, I thought, well, really? But there's others, like Rob Malin was one. He made everything look so simple. And that was what sort of led me on the path to, hey, you haven't got to be technical and blah, blah, blah. He would catch fish, and afterwards I think, anyone could have caught that fish, but no one just went there and did it. And he would cast a bit further to a fish and catch it. And he impressed me as an angler. But I mean, it's like, Carl and Alex. Carl, the way they go about things, and they do simple things well, like a worm or something like that. Alan, you see Alan, he just works hard and catches. It's so impressive to watch him. I can't do that.
So a lot of work rate, isn't it?
30 years ago, I couldn't have done what he does. So that's so impressive. But there's lots and lots of people that impress me with their angling, and then they could be kids. Sometimes kids do things. You think, blimey, that was a good bit of angling. So it hasn't got to be anyone famous or older or good. Sometimes they don't even know what they've done is really good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
But I look at it and think, God, that was good. Well done, mate. So it happens loads of times.
One item of tackle you couldn't go fishing in Europe without?
Probably an echo sounder. It's probably the biggest help. I have been fishing without them loads of times and still caught fish.
Yeah.
But they teach you so much give you so much information about what's out there so quickly that it's a huge
edge,
aid. Yeah, and of course a boat. It's the whole boat kit: the boat, engine, echo sounder. Be lost without that on some of them big waters.
Yeah. A little 20-yard underarm flick might not do it, mightn't it?
Nah.
Venue you'd never go back to?
I can't think of any that I wouldn't go back to. I mean, all waters, apart from Cassian, all waters seem to have a shelf life for me. And, once I've sort of moved on, I very rarely want to go back once I've finished with a water, and that even goes for Rainbow. People ask me about Rainbow. Why don't I fish there anymore? Well, I fish there a lot. And, it's not in my thoughts at all. I feel like that's that door closed, time to move on. So most waters that I've fished in the past, I wouldn't go back to, because I've done my time on there. I'd rather look forward and new adventures is what it's about for me. So, I'd rather look forward than look back.
Fair. Very fair. What do you think the best country is for carp fishing? You've been to a few, Steve.
Yeah, there's horses for courses. Years ago it was France, and nowadays mostly I drive through France to get to other countries, which means longer drives. For recent years, Croatia was probably the best. They had a couple of Shumbar and Sajaki. They were fantastic, big fish and lots of them. They sort of tailed off a little bit. One of the countries I enjoy most was where I was last, and that was Germany.
Yeah.
You know, that's got so many beautiful carp. The water that's out there, I mean, getting the access to fish it isn't easy. That's the hard bit, you know, but luckily I've got friends out there. But there's so many lakes and bits of river. Some of the rivers there are unbelievable. The fish, 50s and 60s, and you can walk for miles and not see an angler, but the fish are there, you know. Last time I was there, I just thought to myself, if only I lived here, you know.
Yeah.
You can walk in any direction and find big carp and lovely carp.
Yeah. Nice. Germany. I like that. Most worrying moment in a boat?
I don't know if I've not really had worry. I always feel very safe in boats, always have done. I was on Bolsena one time. It was in the World Carp Classic the last time I fished it. I'm not a big fan of competitions, but I've done them. But I was out in Bolsena and I could see a storm coming. I mean, it was like 5 miles across Bolsena. It's a big lake. You could see this storm coming. I thought, right, I'll get my rod out, get back and all that, without realising how quickly storms come. And before I knew it, this storm like hit me, and these weren't like these were waves that you couldn't see over the top of, like 4 or 5 foot waves, and that was quite hairy because of the speed. And I'm just grateful that it was blowing into our bank, so it sort of blew me back in. But yeah, that changed very, very quickly. You've always got to be aware of what's going on around you when you're out on a lake, because on those big lakes it does change quick. But I've never been in trouble. I'm always,
touch wood.
Yeah, I'm always careful. I'm always, as I am with driving or whatever it is. I'm never blasé about it. I'm always aware of what I'm doing. But 30 odd years I've been doing it, so
yeah.
I've never.
There's a bit of experience there, isn't there, Steve?
Well, but whether it's 1 year or 30 years, you just got to be sensible about it.
Yeah.
So, and I think I always am.
Biggest stroke you've ever pulled?
Biggest stroke I've ever pulled.
Maybe the most effective one. However you want to quantify it.
I don't know. Pulling strokes. I never do it, obviously.
Of course you don't do it, Steve.
No, I to be honest, I've pulled strokes in the past and they hardly ever work for me. Do you know what I mean? When I've snuck out a third rod, when it's 2 rods or whatever, and I've snuck out a third one, that's the one that doesn't go off and things like that. It's pulling strokes has never done me any favours, if you know what I mean. It's fishing the mere probably was pulling a stroke all the time.
Yeah, that's a good stroke.
So if there was, it was that, I suppose.
I'll give you that. That's a good out. Well done.
Yeah, but I've pulled strokes, and there's never a time when it's done me any good.
Yeah,
really. So yeah.
Favorite YouTube channel?
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, Nash, obviously. There's so much varied content. There's a period every evening where Joan watches Perry Mason. She loves Perry Mason, old black and white.
Perry Mason. I don't even know who's Perry Mason.
Yeah, exactly. And fair enough, that's my time to go on the computer and watch a bit of YouTube. And, whenever there's a new Nash, I've watched Henry and Alf in Slovenia this week. So that was brilliant. Well, it's not Carl and Alex, it's Carl now on his own. It's not quite the same. I would say Carl and Alex was absolutely fantastic, and Carl is brilliant, but
it's different.
It's not. It's something missing without the both of them being there. But brilliant channel that is.
Any non-fishing ones, or is it all fishing, Steve?
Fishing really. I'll watch old boxing videos on YouTube and all that. I've always been a boxing fan, so I always troll through the old boxing videos and whatever. But actual YouTube channels, no. Apart from fishing,
Who's
just
your favourite boxer, Steve? I'm asking questions on the cuff now.
I love I love Tommy Hearns, Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearns. Yeah, they were two of my favourites. Nigel Benn for English boxing.
Yeah, the Dark
Lennox
Destroyer.
Lewis. Yeah, Nigel Benn was fantastic. So exciting. Many favourites. I mean, you want to go back years. There's people that, Dave Boy Green got me into. That was the first fighter that got me into boxing, but most people wouldn't even know who he was. So
You not put the gloves on, Steve? You do a bit of cricket, don't you?
cricket, I love cricket. Yeah, we play every year with Chris Felton. Tom Felton, who's Draco Malfoy in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
His brother Chris. He's a carp angler and a very keen cricketer, and we get a cricket round all to ourselves one day a year for Chris's birthday. So all of us, as carp anglers, Crowie comes down.
Yeah.
And we all get together. Chris captains one team and Tom captains the other team. So we have, 2 or 3 games throughout a day. So, and absolutely love it. It's a nice break away from the fishing. And yesterday, I sat there all day watching England win the New Zealand Test, which was epic.
Quality game of cricket.
Yeah, so, not everyone gets cricket, but I love it. Yeah, absolutely love it.
Weakest part of your angling?
I don't like to think I've got a weakness. Actually, I'm one angler. If without trying to sound like I'm giving it bigger, but I'm one angler that does all aspects of carp fishing. I've done the competition fishing and won 2 World Carp Cups. So it's, I've done the big fish fishing, caught the black mirror, cluster out of Raisby and blah blah. All that. Stalking or whatever, long sessions abroad, floater fishing. I love it when I do it, and I'd like to think I'm pretty good in all of it, really.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy all of it. When the time comes for whatever it is, if it's floater fishing, I'll get dust off the floater rod, get out there and love it. Last 2 years with COVID, I've got back into the English fishing, and and everyone says, do you ever go fishing in England? Because I was abroad
you get
so
that,
much.
don't you? Do you cast? Do you go fishing in England?
Yeah.
They're the things that I've seen put, and you just like. Cool.
Well, the last 2 years, I've caught fish up to 57 in England both years from different waters, and caught plenty of 40s and all that. So, so I'm still pretty strong on the English game as well.
Yeah, I'll take that.
So
fair.
Yeah.
Good answer. Fished the last available swim at a busy St John's on Linear for a week, or fish one night at an abandoned French unknown venue?
That's an easy one. Abandoned French unknown water.
Taking the one night. All that travel for one night and come back rather than
I'll do it. Yeah, just for that peace and quiet, and I've done it all. I've done the busy day ticket walks. I've lived on Farlows, and done all that and enjoyed it. But I would travel for a night of peace and quiet on an unknown French water.
Nice. Has carp fishing had its heyday?
It moves on all the time. People were saying this in the 80s, when Hair Rig come out. And,
were they?
And then there was a big surge in captures, and like a year later, things started to tail off. It's carp fishing peak now and all that.
Yeah.
Nah, it's still growing. You just look, it's just growing in different areas. It's spreading out across Europe, across the world, and like in Poland, it's like whoosh, it's going like that.
Yeah.
And so... Yeah, I mean, some waters come and go. You might think, that water's peaked. Is that carp fishing peak? No, it's always moving forwards.
Nice. What's the angriest you've ever been? I've never seen you angry, Steve.
I get angry. Crowie used to make me angry sometimes. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you had to fish with him to know. Yeah. Angry? Yeah, I've been angry plenty of times, yeah.
What's made you angry? What's the most angry you've been?
Not normally not fishing. I was an angry young man when I was younger.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you're always getting in scrapes and trouble and all that. Yeah, fishing chilled me out, really. Yeah, I've not had many sort of scrapes and lose my temper when I'm fishing, really. You know, that's good enough reason to do it, really. Yeah, it doesn't happen often.
I was going to say, yeah.
I am pretty chilled, yeah.
Yeah, mate. Top 3 anglers out there on the scene at the moment?
Blimey, that's a question to ask me. I don't really sort of get involved with, you know, I mean, the people who I see fishing are like Europeans. Who, you know, not being funny, the guys asking these questions wouldn't even know them.
Who? Go on.
Well, like this Mike Pico, I stayed at his house. I fished with him last week.
Yeah,
he's the most successful sort of Cassian angler that I've ever known. You know, he was going there on trips and catching the big fish in the lake. He's caught so many of the big fish out of Cassian over the years. He went there this year, and in February or March, and he loves Cassian. You know, he gets there and he talks to the lake. He stands on the bridge and talks to the lake, and he give it a little drink and all that. He said, you know, give me, please, Mother Cassian, he calls it, Mama Cassian, a big linear this time. And you couldn't make it up. He went to the West Arm. 45 minutes later, he had the big linear from the lake, which is around sort of 62, 64, you know, within 45 minutes. And he does that. You can say, well, that's just a fluke, but he does that time and time. He's done it for years.
Mad.
You know, Bernadette, the big lever, big common in there, the Pama common, they called it. You know, he's done it time and time again, and he's one of the best. You know, so when you say top 3, you know, I mean, there's guys, obviously English guys. Tom Maker, brilliant angler, catches loads.
Yeah.
Yeah, Laney's still got it.
Laney's incredible.
Such a great angler. His work ethic is unbelievable. Yeah, he's still well up there.
That's free. So, you're out there. That's good.
Yeah.
You got out of it. Good skills.
Okay, that'll do.
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or TikTok? Which is your favourite?
The only one I'm not on is TikTok. That might change. Who knows? You know.
I could see you doing some dances, Steve, on the bank.
Well, you wouldn't want to see it. Yeah, I'm probably out of there. I don't use Twitter much. Instagram's probably my favourite. I like Instagram. Nice.
This question is inspired by a certain Dan Wildboar. So apologies, Dan. I've stolen your question here. I had to ask Steve this. It's a bit of an interesting one to get your head around, but it's a great question. You have to single out one carp on the modern day scene that's alive and swimming at the moment. If that carp is caught, then you die. Which carp do you single out?
That if it gets caught, I die. So it's got to be a hard one then.
You'd hope so, unless you want to get out of it, Steve.
Well, the thing is, it's not going to be a known one because it would have never been on the bank. You know, like there was fish in the Mia years ago, the big common, the elusive big common, which I actually saw. You know,
did you?
Yeah, I saw it 3 or 4 times.
How big was the big common?
It was about the same size as the black mirror. It wasn't 60 pound like people were talking about it, but I saw it literally.
A good 50.
Yeah, it was. I saw it literally laying alongside the black mirror. So, so yeah, that would have been like a choice because you know, give me a few years.
I'll give you a good few years.
But yeah, I mean, something like the Burfield Common, but that gets caught every couple of years, so that ain't going to give me long, is it?
Yeah, well, that too, mate, might come out.
No, it'd probably be some little scabby £10 common that never gets caught.
That's what
from a lake. There's like every lake's got one of them little commons swimming around that never gets caught.
I was at some fisheries, the old classic, like in a mixed carp fishery. There's a 30-pounder in there and never gets caught, does it? They're the ones you want.
Yeah. Whatever one that is, that'll do.
Who wins in a fight? A 25-year-old version of you or a 25-year-old version of Chris Kuderman? For anybody who doesn't know Chris Kuderman, Chris is, what is he, 2 behind you in terms of the
2 behind me in 50s and everything
50s
else he's like
countries.
Miles ahead. You know, when you're talking 60s and 70s, he just caught a German 70 a couple of weeks back, which is 8 countries now for 70s for him.
But you've had 15 different 50s from 15 different countries. He's had 13, has he?
Yeah, he's on 13.
Oh, you're smashing him, Steve.
Yeah.
But in a fight, 25-year-old version of each other, who's winning?
No, I was pretty handy when I was 25.
Smash him up, wouldn't you? Bucket list destinations. Doesn't have to be for carp fishing. It could be for anything.
Oh, okay.
Mate. Where would you like to go? Because you've done a fair bit of Europe, haven't you? You've been to America.
America, Canada, South Africa, Morocco. So I've done a few. Yeah, it's interesting that you said not necessarily carp fishing, because what I've never done in my life is actually been on a holiday to, when I think in my mind, where would I like to go? I'd love to go. You see sometimes these deserted islands, little sandy islands with a little cabin on them in the Pacific or something like that. I'd like to do something like that. It'd have to be where there's no other people.
Right, okay.
Because I say to Joan sometimes, wouldn't you just fancy going on a holiday, like a beach holiday? And she thinks the same as me. Oh no, there's loads of people there all the time. Yeah, and like my dream carp fishing destinations are the quietest ones where we get away from people.
So a quiet desert island somewhere in the South Pacific.
Yeah, that sounds all right, doesn't it?
Take a little scope, wouldn't you? You'd have to. Be a few GTs about or something, wouldn't there? Keep you occupied.
Oh yeah.
Kevin Nash or Alan Blair, pick one to catch you a fish. We'll say on the Church Lake because they both know it pretty well.
If it was on the Nash premises like in the old days, that would be a tricky one because Kev was the master on the cops.
Yeah,
he was like catch them all on there, could with his eyes closed. It'd have to be Alan. Blimey, I mean, he's so fast. He's just full on. Yeah, if you wanted someone to catch a fish to save your life, you'd pick Alan, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would. Yeah, too right. Tell us one thing that we don't know about you. Ooh.
That you don't know about me? That's a good question. Don't know. I mean, most of it's pretty much out there. I've done so many interviews and different types of things over the years where literally my life story's been in there. There's not much that isn't known, I don't think.
Not.
I haven't got any secret hobbies or, I'm not like, I like chess. Do you know what I mean? I enjoy
like chess.
Yeah, but I'm just clutching at straws here. But I do, I like it. There was one trip we had to Reduta, years ago, which was horrible. I was there with Crowe, and he had a little travel chess set.
Yeah.
And it saved us. It did, because he couldn't do anything. He couldn't fish. It was like this wind coming in from Russia. It was horrible. So we sat in a bivvy all day, and we had 32 games of chess, and it was 16 each.
16 each?
Yeah.
You didn't pay a decider? You've got to finish that, Steve. It's got to happen. We'll put it on live on a podcast.
Yeah. I don't think either of us could bear to lose.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I mean, Crowe is so competitive, and I am a bit actually. I keep it quiet, but I am a bit competitive, and we settled for 16 each. But so I like to go with chess. I like all sports really. Used to like playing darts and all that. Wasn't particularly good at it. I was very good at sports at school. Like javelin and all that. I was best in the year at javelin and all right at sort of 100 metres, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, mate, there's plenty there. Best Nash party you've been to?
Oh, they're all good, aren't they?
You got to pick one there, Steve.
There was the one where Alan and Ollie come back on the last Eurobanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the big party was here. That was up
at
there.
The old party house, which is gone. Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty much up there. That was a good party.
What is your opinion on what qualifies as a wrong'un in terms of UK carp fishing?
Yeah, good question, fair question. That, and there's always opinions about this, and all different ones. And I've got strong opinions which are differ from other people's. And I was very much against, in the old days, like stealing fish from French waters and bringing them back and creating English waters. And that went on a bit.
Yeah.
And I was, that to me was a wrong one. They should have been left in their homes in France or wherever. That was wrong. And I know people who did it, and I saw it going on sometimes, and didn't like that. Where I differ, well, I'll give you an example, like Elphick's Lake.
Yeah.
Loads of people say, there are wronguns in there. That to me, they were anything but wronguns, because the fish that were put in there, they were all stocked at doubles. They were bought legally. They were stocked legally. They were stocked small. And because one of them grew on to like £60, they're not proper carp, they're wronguns. They're not wronguns, they were a different strain of carp. They were in day ticket waters, which people didn't like, but they were stocked in there small and they lived all their life in there, so to me, they're not wronguns. People that disagree with that, and they're welcome to, but that to me, they're not wronguns. They're just different. For whatever reason, they're not leanies or whatever, of course they're not. But so they're perfectly legitimate carp to me.
Yeah.
But wronguns are stolen fish from abroad, they're wrong.
Fair. Favourite TV show, Steve?
I love 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown.
That's good. That is funny.
I love a bit of that. It just makes me laugh. Watch them over and over again. Taskmaster.
Taskmaster, what is that?
You don't watch Taskmaster. It's brilliant. It's been about 10 series. Greg Davis hosts it, and it gets all the celebrities on, and they have to do different silly tasks. But it's good. It's funny. I like quizzes. Richard Osman's House of Games.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, I watch that every evening. Like that. Love a good film.
What is your favourite film, Steve? One film? That is tough.
Yeah, that is tough. Probably one that I can't even find anymore. Book of Eli with.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Denzel, was it Denzel?
Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
Loved that film. Can't find it anywhere now.
You know?
Can't get it on Netflix. You can't get it on Sky.
Disney Plus, it'll be on there, mate. I'll search it for you tonight.
Yeah, I can't find it anywhere, and I love that film. So. Yeah, I love a film that you can get in and lose yourself. Like when it ends, all of a sudden you think, "Blimey, yeah." I was involved in that for a couple of hours.
Most annoying thing in carp fishing?
Just all the negative stuff, really. The people that can't let other people do what they want to do. Whatever you do in life, not just me. They can say what they like to me, but you see someone, like a young kid or something, catch a nice fish, and people come on there, that's this and that's that. Let people enjoy themselves. Carp fishing's about what you get out of it, and there's all sorts of different ways you can carp fish, and if they're enjoying it, let them enjoy it. Don't make judgments on them.
Current UK carp that you think is the best or would like in your photo album? Well,
if I could pick one, I suppose it would be the Burfield Common, but I'm not, I've never fished for it. I'm not fishing for it.
Would you?
Yeah, I'd like the Burfield Common. Yeah, it's, yeah.
Did you have a go for it?
I don't know if I could commit that much time. If we had another
lockdown,
of COVID lockdown, yeah, because that done me a world of favours for the UK fishing,
Yeah.
And I caught some good fish, The one, yeah, probably if I could catch one fish on the lakes I'm fishing now, it would be a fish called leeches out of the Island Lake, Kingsmead Island Lake, because it's the biggest common. I'd like a nice big common. And that's probably the biggest I can go at. It's up around £50. So,
what about abroad? Is there any specific fish? I know there's the whole 50s from different countries thing that is playing in there, but is there any one fish abroad that you think like, I'd love that?
Yeah, there's a few, I suppose. The one that immediately springs to mind when you said that was a big mirror in Orellana in Spain, which is £80. It's not just an £80 mirror. It's a lovely dark orangey sort of. Don't get hardly caught, but
that's a tough ask, innit? But it'd be a mega one, wouldn't it?
Yeah, would be. Yeah.
That'd be the one out of all of them in Europe.
Yeah, if I could pick one now, probably it would be that.
I like that. I like that a lot. 3 anglers, past or present, you'd share a social with. That's a good Nash one.
A social with?
Yeah.
I mean, Alan Blair's. I mean, talk about party host. If you're going to share a social with anyone, he's life and soul of the party.
Yeah. Apart from all the old drum and bass music, mate.
I might have to turn the volume down a bit. Nah, he's great though, isn't he?
He's a top bloke.
Yeah, socialising. I mean, other people. Tom Duncan Dunlop. He's just a nice, chilled out guy, and enjoy spending time in his company. And and me mate last week, Mike, who was in Germany. Mike, he's such a nice guy. Whenever we go to Germany, he looks after us so well. And sometimes you just sit down and you think, just enjoy spending time with that guy. And that's how it was. We spent a few days on the bank and a few days at his house, and it was like, proper nice social with a bit of fishing, and really enjoy his company. So Mike, Tom, Alan.
Lovely. Drones, bait boats, and other devices. Where do you stand on technology?
That always comes into it. Yeah,
it's going to come.
And it's a bit like the wronguns one. I've got opinions that are going to differ from a lot of people. I see a lot of people knocking them, and I go with them. I go with the technology because I've seen it all through donkey's years of fishing. Everything, English people especially, are against change. They hate change. And right in the beginning, I saw it with bite alarms, and people said, because in the old days, if you was a carp angler, the whole thing was staying awake all night if you could to feel the line on your hand. All of a sudden you had bite alarms, you could just go to sleep and they wake you up when you got a bite. And people were saying, well, that's not fishing. And you can see their point. You just fast asleep.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to run, the bite alarm's going off. So people were up in arms back then. So like nowadays, drones, I don't use them for finding fish as such, but they're lovely for the blogs. You get aerial views of the lakes and all that. Everything's bait boats. Yeah, I use them when the time's right. If you're on a lake where everyone's using bait boats and you don't use them, then you're a mug. Use them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just a loser.
They're an edge. They're an edge, mate.
Baiting poles, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not against any of it. If it's in the rules that you can use them, then if it's going to help me catch fish, then I use it. If it's against the rules, then that's another story. But drones, boats, whatever, rowing boats, echo sounders. I'll give it. Yeah.
3 questions left, Steve.
Okay.
Funniest Kevin Nash story.
Fun. Oh, blimey! I know there's. I've never fished with Kevin to know all the ins and outs, but I know there were some funny ones at the Horse and Barge. You'll have to buy his book.
Oh, you've done him a touch there. Sold him a few books.
Because there was some brilliant Horse and Barge stories.
Quite the character, Steve. You got a funny one particularly with him? Do you remember any?
No, I've never actually hardly fished with Kevin. Even though we've been around, the only lake that I actually fished when Kevin was fishing as well was Harefield, and
the
stories.
The days.
Yeah. Blimey,
The days.
Yeah, I know there were some good nights, but we can't remember most of them.
3 words to describe yourself.
Easygoing, chilled. Yeah, I suppose I just live and let live is my motto. Let people have their. People always go out there and catch fish and catch more than me on different days. So every dog has his day. There's loads of those different sayings, but basically, what I'm saying is that just let everyone do their thing.
Nice. I've got a couple more that I've stumbled across here that I haven't seen. Sharpened hooks. Where do you stand on them, mate? Yes or no?
Well, I try not to stand on them. They're a bit sharp.
He's good. He's here all week.
No, sorry about that.
No, I like it.
I I was always pretty much against sharpening hooks. I didn't really like doing it. And then Henry Lennon, when we was at the Manchester show, the most recent one, he sharpened a hook in front of me and said, "What do you think of that?" And boom, it was so sharp. I said, "That is really sharp." And he said, "Oh, thanks." And I thought, I'm getting one of them. So
Steve, please do not tell me that Henry Lennon has influenced your angling. He will love that
absolutely,
for a long time.
Oh, yeah. I literally went out and got a sharpener straight after that. And
right. I'm going to get this out the edit straight away, mate. You're not having that. They will never hear that question, Steve. Fair play. Good admission there. He will love that too much. I will crop this for you, Henry, and give it to you because you'll no doubt we won't hear the end of it. Anyway, for you, if you could go back, what advice would you give your younger self?
Probably just be a little bit more patient. Joan was always telling me that, look, just be more patient. And it's, and believe in yourself a bit more, because it's easy saying that, but I can only say those things because I've been through those times of lack of confidence in rigs and thinking rigs was so important and I wasn't on the right bait and all that. And then you come out the other side of it and realise it's not that complicated actually. And, if I would go back and tell myself that, because I wasted so many years worrying about things that don't really matter in carp fishing. And people say, "Oh, you make it look so easy in those blogs. You just do what you do." And because I've been through all those negative times and realised, that's all you need to do to catch a carp. Actually, they're not that hard to catch.
Don't tell them that. Favourite bit of Nash Tackle, one item, what would it be?
I love all of Nash Tackle. Love the beds because I love sleeping, but scopes, probably. I love the scopes. I really enjoy using them. Scope
Good
rods.
stuff.
9 foot, 3.5 pounds. That's my favourite ones.
So 9 footers, yeah?
Yeah, 9 foot Black Ops, 3.5. So yeah, love them. Absolutely love them.
Last question. If you could go back, start again, would you do it all the same?
Pretty much. There's not much I would change, because I was, if I could go back to one time, it would be those early years of Cassian probably. But I was there in the early years, so there's a lot of people that say, I wish I was there at that time. Well, I sort of was, I wouldn't change much, I wouldn't change anything really. I would change those years of lack of confidence. I would try and put that out the window, but otherwise, no, I wouldn't change much. I've enjoyed every minute of it, carp fishing, and it is what it is, isn't it?
Too right. Steve, you're an institution, mate. If you're not a sir by the end of next year, I'll have a word to the Queen. Not that she'll listen to me. But, mate, thank you so much for coming in. Thank you guys for submitting all your questions and for watching and listening. I'll be back soon with another Nash Off the Hook podcast if this feature goes well, which I hope it will. It should do, because the man's a legend. He's answered the questions very well and politically got out of a few deep holes there. So well done.
Dug myself out of a couple.
We'll do some more. I'll try and get Mr. Blair and Mr. Nash on themselves as well, because there'll be interesting ones on the old Q&A. But thank you for listening. And Steve, cheers, mate. I look forward to seeing you again soon, hopefully.
Cheers, mate. It's been great.